Hello, hello. Hi. We should get started. So, everyone take a seat. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Good evening. Um, we are at meeting 458. I hope everyone is enjoying the outdoor setting. Um, Amber, sorry, last week we couldn't, you know, we were really low tech. So apologies for that. Um, Chris, we missed you because, you are the tech expert.
The tech elf. Okay.
So glad, but we had a good meeting. It was really like, it was a good without the mic and really in a closed setting. So we had fun. We had, but the word of the day was, what was, yes. Yeah. So Tom put a condition that we are not going to get to go home unless each one of us uses the word of the day. So we made sure it was not easy, but we made it. So we didn't leave till 9 o'clock. Yeah, it was good. So one thing I wanted to share, actually before I share, just some ground rules. Let's silence the cell phones and laptops, any mobile devices, even though we are in the outdoor setting. And if you have to get up, let's not disturb the speakers. I wanted to share one. I kind of am repeating myself, but the importance of practice as a lesson that I've learned in Toastmasters, just practicing as much as you can. I have a presentation coming up Thursday, and I've been practicing, but not enough. And I feel like if I uh, spend some time practicing, it can really help me. So I would just emphasize for everyone, all the new members, and just practice. Don't I was talking to Chris earlier that uh, I think he's giving a speech, but it's just that if we feel more confident with practicing, and it just makes the content much more like bulletproof. You can think through different scenarios, or like if you're like in a big meeting, maybe you can plan for like the question that they might ask and include that into your material and things like that. So I think as you practice more, you kind of realize what else is missing and what else you can add and remove. So I just wanted to emphasize that. Uh, so other than that, I just wanted to ask anyone if wants to share a success story. There's no pressure, but if someone feels so, success story is where a situation where Toastmasters helped you in your work or in like another private setting where it can, where the Toastmasters made a difference. So if you feel like sharing, please come up or anyone.
Takers,
All right.
takers.
Hello. Test. Good evening, dear Toastmasters and guests. My name is Maria Kovaleva. I'm a life coach, and now I will share the success story that I had yesterday with my daughter. So I have a toddler, and we went to Santana Row, and she started to acting out after daycare because she was probably tired. The success was that I made a powerful pause before responding to her. It was a success because she focused all her attention on me, who doesn't really reply to her. And yes, it's not about speaking, but in speaking, the powerful pause has its own role. So it might be a funny story for today, but I think it's a real one, a success story. It success can be a very small one, but it gets bigger when we notice it and build on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Very powerful story. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else? All right. Okay, so with that, I think we can get started. I'll call upon our Madam President again to come up. It's our last week of presidency. So
Thank you, Shrak. So yes, today is the last meeting where I'm a president of the club, and I want to thank everybody for creating the atmosphere, the space for me to practice my leadership skills and my speaking skills. It's very good that we already know the next president. I will not announce him, but still it's a good news because we're still searching for other officers to take the roles. So if you're not yet decided, please come and why not try this? Try for 6 months to be in the role of the officer and see the Toastmaster structure and the power of educational system and of the structure of the organization from inside. You will be in the officers meetings and see how it works basically. I would like to thank my informal mentors here, very experienced Toastmasters. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Chirag, for guiding me, for supporting me, for encouraging me, for giving me a feedback. And it's really priceless. First, I remember first I came to Toastmasters and two first meetings, I was so excited when I came home because I was the winner of table topics for 2 meetings in a row. I'm like, yeah, I can do it. I can speak. And now I'm delivering speeches. I'm on level 4 right now. So I'm progressing, I believe, very nicely. And I will still continue my progress. One thing that I heard from you guys very often about my speeches, about my presidency, maybe that I'm inspiring to you. And I really appreciate this feedback, and I will continue to build my vision on these inspiring speeches. And what else? What else Toastmasters gave me? What else this role of president gave me is a confidence in delivering my purpose to other people. Just to speaking about my services as life coach, about services for parents, because I started to own my voice through speaking, through delivering speeches. I really found my voice. I will practice it more and more. And as Chirag said, practicing is what makes it more convincing, more confident, more easy to deliver. And one thing that today I had a coach session with my coach, and one thing he said, practicing is constant choosing. Choose who you want to be and practice it. And this connection is quite powerful for me. Like, it's not practicing is not just acting, doing actions repeatedly, but it's choosing who you are right now, who you want to be, and who you are right now. So I hope it was inspirational part of the speech today. And let's continue this meeting with that. Thank you. Oh, Madam Toastmaster, Julie. Welcome.
Great introduction to our meeting today. So for this evening, we are having our speeches starting at 6:45, and we have our first speaker, Chris, with his speech, Show It, Effect. And that's the coaching level 4 project 3. And then our second speaker today is Alexey. Those will be our speakers for today. And following, we have table topics with Tom. And our speech evaluations will be Matthew, evaluators, I mean, Matthew. And we do have an open position if we do have someone that would like to volunteer for Alexey. Any takers?
Dan Wen's here. What's the role?
Evaluator
Oh,
for Alexey.
Dan Wen, do you want to do an evaluation for Alexey? Come on.
Okay, we got that filled.
Thank you.
And we do have our timer. Maria, would you like to come up here and explain your position?
Really, today I will use again the app, and it's has 3 types of speeches. The speech that is 5 to 7 minutes. 5 is green one, so it will be green here, I promise. Yellow, it will be at 6 minutes, and at 7 minutes it will be red, and should be the speech should be ended, really. And table topics, 1 minute for green, 1.5 for yellow, 2 minutes for red. And evaluations, so really 2 to 3. So 2 for the green, 2.5 for yellow, and 3 minutes for red ones. So please be cautious and respectful to others, and keep your speeches, evaluation, and table topics in the range. Thank you.
Our counter for today is BJ. Can you come up here and explain your role?
Good evening, everyone. I'm your counter. And it's not a clandestine affair on what it means, but so that we are on the same page, I'll explain. For the speakers, evaluators, and table topic speakers, I'm going to count your ahs, ums, any filler words, repeating words, and I'll report at the end. Thank you.
And for our grammarian, we have Amber. Amber, would you like to come up here and explain your role?
Hi, everyone. I'm Amber Arroyo, and I'll be the grammarian for today. As the grammarian, I will monitor our language and our grammar. And another part of my role is the word of the day, which is clandestine. And this describes something done secretly or in a private place or in a private way. So an example of the word is the wedding was a clandestine affair in Las Vegas.
And lastly, we have our general evaluator, Shara. Can you come up here and explain your role?
Thank you. So as the general evaluator, I'll be evaluating the overall meeting, how we did, and how the roles performed, as well as participation and engagement in the meeting. So let's make it very engaging. And then I'll report at the end. So thank you.
Okay. Now let's get started with our speeches. So our first speaker, Chris.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Appreciate that. I want to thank once again Maria for being an awesome president over the past 6 months. It seems like longer, but you've given us a lot of inspiration. You kept us on track. You took the role seriously, but not too serious. And thank you for your continual improvement attitude that you had with all of us. Okay. Appreciate that very much. All right. So I'm going to start my timer here. Use the nifty Toastmaster timer tool. Let's see if it works. Good evening, Toastmasters. My name is Christian Eddy, and this is one of the speeches that will finish off my level 4 of my second pathway. It's going to help the club also reach an important milestone and get an extra point so we can once again be a distinguished President's Toastmasters Club. So happy to do that for everybody. That's all a group effort. Today, I'll talk about showing it. Well, what is it? Well, in my field, I'm a financial advisor on the campus of NVIDIA. Many of you may have heard of the company NVIDIA. It's like an Apple. It's like a Meta. It's a fairly large company. And before COVID, it was very customary to make calls to clients. In my role before was leading a team of advisors in the Los Gatos Charles Schwab office down the street on North Santa Cruz Boulevard, also being a planner. So there's a lot of engagement. There's outreach to the client. They're reaching back out to you, and you're sharing ideas, and you're trying to make sure that you're steering them on the right path to whatever their financial goals may be. And you would also have a large branch network, which we do. Fidelity, Schwab, all the big companies have a lot of branches because face-to-face interactions were so important for that industry in particular. Well, along came COVID. Then what happened? No one could see each other face-to-face. We could still make phone calls safely, but there was something missing. We were missing that human interaction, looking at the expressions of people's faces, looking at what's behind them, what are they wearing, how are they acting, what are their mannerisms, all the subtle little body language cues that we practice here consciously at Toastmasters. So we were all forced into the world of Zoom, WebEx, Teams, and now it's become a way of life. Raise your hand if you have at least one virtual meeting a day. At least one. Almost everybody here. Sometimes it's back to back to back virtual meetings. And with that, there's a lot of convenience because you can be doing it from home or remote office, but also, it crunches your day and you're going back to back, and it's quite mentally exhausting. So in my role, I mentor a lot of the younger consultants, and I try to tell them, show it. Don't be afraid to show them different things that will add more value to your conversation. Get away from just calling people, even scheduling a phone call. That's okay. Maybe you're doing it verbally to actually get that appointment, but your appointment needs to be, for most people in this area, virtual, or it's a bit of an inconvenience face-to-face. But Matthew, if you're at work, wouldn't you like to just say, I'm out of a meeting, I have a quick break, I can get on my computer in a private place and ask them a couple questions about my restricted documents. Very convenient, the tax implications. So what do? I have a process. It's been developed over the last 4 or 5 years. I think it's important to establish your foundation. For any of us here working at any company, if you're not known by that person, making sure that first and foremost, you have a good background, presentable, good lighting, good camera, good angle, not the angle of the little mini camera looking straight up at your face. Then we need to get comfortable sharing materials. How are you going to tell your story? And that's what this project is all about. How to tell a story with digital assets. Well, the first thing that I come out the door with, especially in my profession, is professional bio sheet. Name, degrees, graduate degrees, SEC and FINRA designations and licenses, different roles and years of experience. Clients really appreciate that. I like to lead with that. I want to make sure they know who I am, how we're compensated. It's very transparent, clear for them. It's very professional. So in your roles, you may have something like that. I know, Amber, you did a presentation and you had your slide with some of your background. That helped the audience connect with you. Have it ready. Whenever I meet with a client, I always tell them before I start, I have your LinkedIn profile up and I have your Schwab account up. I've done my research and I'm ready to talk. I know where you went to college, I know all the different companies that you worked at, and what your history has been to this point. What is the second thing I like to show them? The second thing I like to show them is a collage of my family. And I'll say, I want to show you, these are my two girls, Vivian and Violet. This is our home. These are our puppies. This is my wife on a vacation that we had. They go, oh, that's so cute. Thank you for sharing. Tell me about your family. Where do you like to travel? What do you like to do? Do you have any fur babies? It's an instant way to connect with someone. And why not, in my role in particular, share something like that, make that emotional deposit to the client so you can later make that emotional withdrawal as you need to. You're exchanging, you're building the trust. And then I land on our Schwab wealth management topics. Many of you may work with or meet with an advisor in some respect or have been propositioned by an advisor. And they're just kind of talking around different things and it's a bit abstract, especially with no visuals. But if you have clear visuals where you can say, investment planning, tell me what you're doing here and outside. What's your style? What do you prefer? What are you comfortable with? Retirement plan, or for someone younger, financial plan. Have you ever done one? When was the last time? Why haven't you done one? It's a GPS, it's a roadmap, it's a living document. We can revisit it and refresh it every year to keep you on track. As things change, we can model in different assumptions and goals you have. We can stress test the plan. Estate planning, planning for kids. What are you doing to fund college in the future? It's not getting any cheaper. And in this area, people are assuming more and more debt and more education because it's needed for the skill sets. So the point is with the advisors, and they're all middle career, early career, some late career. Some are just not bought into the idea of showing it. Verbal, facial, body language, even virtual, for more clients than not, is the way to engage with other people. And so whether you're at work at a tech company, you're trying to pitch your startup, right, to venture capitalists, and that's the only way you can get in the door, make sure you're ready, you're trained, you're proficient, and you know how to quickly use your digital collateral to tell your story. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you, Chris. That was an amazing speech. Very clear, very on topic. I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot and took lots of notes. Our next speaker for today, we have, oh, actually, we're going to go into evaluators. Oh, feedback. Yes, we're going to do a scan. If you could please scan the QR code on the table. There's a sheet with a QR code. And please take a minute to evaluate Chris's speech. Let's start with our next speaker. Alexey. We have our next speaker. Come on up.
Thank you, Juliet. Uh, so just quick introduction. I missed all my timings, screwed up at work. When I came home, I figured out I have to speak. But since one guy already like canceled, I decided to proceed anyway. So the topic that I picked is part two, my traveling. Just the easiest way to talk about yourself, right? Comparatively to other topics, we can talk about ourselves forever, indefinitely. It's much harder to find listeners for that, but I will use this opportunity. So I guess we can start. It's level 4, presentation mastery. I'm trying to talk in the style of podcast as much as I could, of course. It's a learning curve for me. Right, and Maria, if you could just wave it a bit higher since I can miss time easily. I'd like to talk a little bit today about my traveling experience. I traveled a lot as a kid, and I continued to travel when I grew up and became a young adult, teenagers and young adult. It was mostly out of curiosity to see the world. Initially, it was to see the regions and other regions and a little bit explore more. Finally, when I had this opportunity, I started traveling around the globe. Not big traveler, but whenever I could to visit places otherwise I've never seen before. It was quite interesting experience to me. I've met lots of interesting people on the way, learned of lots of lessons, especially how to deal with people, how to deal with different situations where you go through certain obstacles. Especially in my youth years, travel was not as comfortable as nowadays for me. Just environment was different. Lots of travels by train, airplanes. It was before internet. Lots of delays. No money for hotels, so you stay whenever you can. Typically on the floor in the airport or in a chair, whenever you can. Flight delay. You don't have money to rebook it to the right flight. You buy whatever you can. You pennies that left and fly like 2 days later. You need to figure out what to do in the area, etc., etc. I know lots of people actually after college or even before college travel around the globe actually without any money at all. I met lots of these guys and girls, and I really admire them, how they can travel around the globe without money and not being afraid of any challenges. When I was young and started traveling, there's lots of traveling by train. So it's not so much nowadays, just want to tell, especially people that have never traveled this way, it's kind of different from anything else. A long distance train was a special place. There was a special term called train talk. Train talk is a special way of talking, meaning you're on a train, you got 2-3 days to stick there, nothing else to do, no internet, no smartphones, right? You can read a book if you don't get bored. Some people don't. People start talking and they talk about everything. It's like go to a psychotherapist. They talk about everything, most intimate details of their life. The reason is because you talk to this person, you leave the train at one place, he lives on another station, and you will never see each other again. It creates a situation where people talk about everything and about everything. Like family, their spouses, children, friends, everything. It's quite interesting experience. One day I was traveling far away. It was booked. I was stayed in this interconnect space between wagons. There was a guy next to me. He started playing cards. We played for 4 hours. I did not win a single time. In the end of the travel, I asked the guy if I had a chance. He smiled, laughed, told no, not a single chance. So apparently the guy was professional, one of those making it for a living. There were other experiences, sometimes fortunate, sometimes not fortunate. Once I traveled to the region, it was far away, before internet, no news. And when I got there, turned out ethnic cleansing was taking place in the area. So I came with an idea to start business, decided not the right time for business, and just hanging around for a couple of weeks, talking to people, what's happening. It was quite educational. So I left the area. Later on, me and my wife met a couple from that area. And they told us that guys belong to one ethnicity, his wife to another, and they could not go to any area over there because the one or another. So ask where you guys going, just tell us to America. Where else? So that's the kind of some kind of stories from the past. There was one case, some cases where total strangers people helped me a lot. So that was time where shortage everything, especially food in the area. Food was rationed. I came to Tajikistan. It's Central Asia, local market, like was cheaper prices. And when I talked to local ladies that we have shortage of basic, food like butter, she was horrified. Took me home, grabbed butter from Frigidaire from all her neighbors, brought it to me like 10 kilo. I came home happy, 10 kilo of butter. My wife was, wow, that's the best kind under circumstances. There was some unfortunate experience, like same as a Central Asia place. I was told, don't go to a restaurant there, like don't eat local food. I did. It was very remote area. Point is, when I finally got home from the flight, I was totally green and just did not remember my name. Just infection. Happens a lot. You go from one area to another area, you custom to one type of viruses, you go another, it's another. I met lots of interesting people, learned a lot from these travels. Learn to talk to people, to communicate to strangers, not to be shy when you need to ask for direction, because otherwise you just get stuck with nowhere to go and nobody will help if you do not ask for help. Met some bad people, met lots of good people. In conclusion, I would say traveling really helps to understand the world, to appreciate other people, other cultures. If not to like them, at least to better understand them. And to know that the world is a big place to live. People are different, but we all should respect each other. Thank you.
That was a great speech. I really enjoyed it, Alexey. Now let's take a minute to evaluate Alexey's speech. Let's wrap it up. Next up, we have Tom with table topics. Hey everyone, we got energy. This is the exciting.
Let's get this party going. Okay. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Okay, I'm the table topics master tonight. We know the table topics is our opportunity to come up here, impromptu speaking. Anybody can join in. We have a fun topic tonight. And do we have any volunteers? Oh, wait, let me tell you what the topic is first. Okay, so very simple question, it'd be the same question for everyone. If you could relive one day of your life, what day would that be and why? Now, here's the ground rules. When I say relive one day of your life, I'm not saying, hey, I would go back to this day and I would do this differently. You can't do anything differently. All you can do is be in the moment of that day, and whatever you were experiencing that day, you have the opportunity to re-experience it. But you can't change anything. You know, we all make sort of decisions that we want to go back and change. That's not it. The other rule is you can't have a day that involves your significant other or the birth of your kids or anything like that, because that's low hanging fruit. We're always going to say, the day I was married, or the day I met my wife, or when my child was born. So let's take those type of days off the make it a little more interesting. So, what day in your life would you like to relive again if you could, and why? Who wants to go first? Come on, BJ, come on up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. And thank you for taking away all those options.
Yes.
As you were talking, I was thinking that I'll share my child's birth. My daughter was born, but you took it away. Anyway, I'll share my time in Bangalore before coming to US. I come from countryside, a very small village. I reached Bangalore. It was a culture shock for me. I just couldn't comprehend lots of things, but I was excited because there was lots of learning for me. So from there, I worked for FedEx, and I did something they liked. They sent a letter to my head of the delivery there. 250 people reported to him, and he got a letter with my name on it that I want this person here in US. So my manager, who was between me and that head, came very happy, jumping almost to my desk and said, "Hey, you need to go to US." And I said, "No, thank you." And he, "What? People are coming every day fighting with me that when can I go to US? Why don't you want to go?" I said, "I'm not interested." And he didn't know what to say. So he walks away. I get a call from my head of the delivery saying that, "Can I talk to you?" And he didn't talk to give time to people, but he called me in his office. He brainwashed me, convinced me that I should come here. I came here. And I think that changed my life. Coming here, and I came on a promise from him that I will go back in 6 months. It has been 21 years. I'm still here. And I'm glad I came here because I learned a lot here that I didn't there. Thank you.
Nice job, BJ. So he shared with us a day that was very pivotal for him. So it can be a day like that, a day that really puts you on a different path. Or it could be as simple as a day where whatever was going on that day was just such a wonderful experience. Maybe it was you went to a concert that you really remember or something like that. People, this isn't hard. There's no right or wrong answer. You can make something up. We won't know. All right, who wants to go next? Don't be bad, Shirag. What do you got for us?
So I have a very different experience. I don't think it was the best day. I mean, but for me, I would say it was the best day because so let me tell a little bit about it. It's when my parents visited me for the first time in California. I just moved. I just graduated, and I just moved to California, my first job, and I was living in Santa Cruz at that time, Capitola, and I was so excited that my parents are visiting me. The reason I said it was not the best day is because my parents, they were like the visa situation was a little complicated. Like my dad had given up his green card, but my mom had her green card. So the immigration officers questioned why like you have two different statuses. So I think my dad had to give up like it was like they had to wait in like they had to wait there for like 2-3 hours in immigration. But for me, it was I still remember that day because it was a long flight for them. So we took like I was driving from San Francisco Airport to Santa Cruz, and it was a long drive. So we took a break, and I don't remember where, but it was somewhere between San Francisco and San Jose. We stopped and we were just chatting, and we were so relaxed. And I was so happy that my parents were with me after like first time after I graduated, and it was just like a great feeling that hey, my parents are here and I made it. So it was really it was a great feeling, and I wish I could relive it again. But yeah, that was one of my best days. Thanks.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, we have time for one more. Who wants to go next? Don't be bashful. Matthew, come on up. Okay, what do you got for us?
Thanks. I'm trying to think of a time more recent, but I feel like everything post college got pretty stressful. So I'm gonna go back to when I was a kid back in 2011, 2012. So this specific day was when the Miami Heat won a championship. That was, if anyone knows or knows anything about basketball, it's when LeBron James won his first championship back in his heyday when he played for the Heat. And the reason why this was so special to me was because at the time, my dad was a big Kobe fan. He hated LeBron. He hated him. He hated everything about him. He didn't want him to win. And he thought that he wasn't going to win so much that he made a bet to me and my younger brothers that if the Miami Heat won and LeBron James was the finals MVP, he would buy my brothers and I all Miami Heat jerseys. Now, my dad doesn't lose too often, and he normally bets pretty well, but he lost that day. So having to see his facial expressions of taking us to the store, getting that Miami Heat jersey, and then seeing us put it on, that was priceless. I'll never forget that day.
Excellent, thank you. That's what I'm talking about. I checked with our esteemed person over here. He says we have time for one more. So who wants to share that very special day that now you've had time to think about it, that you'd like to go back and relive, if possible? Amber. Now this is Amber's first time being here in person in a long time. So it's great to see you. Yeah. So step up and let's see what you got for us.
Well, thank you. I would say one of the memories that sticks out for me was a time that I was able to face my fears and overcome something, as well as feel a great sense of accomplishment, followed by some celebration, which is the best combination, I think, even better than some vacations or things like that that I was originally thinking of. And this was the day, it was on February 14th, Valentine's Day. I did something really near and dear to my heart. I defended my dissertation to earn my PhD. And I chose that date in particular just because it has a lot of significance about love and passion, usually for romantic relationships. But for me at that time, I was married to my work. So it was very fitting. And I felt very prepared that morning. I had been over preparing for weeks, and some would say the past 5.5 years for that day. And so I felt very confident going into the defense that I was going to be able to answer questions and be able to pass. And fortunately, that is what ended up happening. And afterwards, I felt like everything that I had been working on for so long was finally, kind of over, and everything was going to be okay after that. Turns out after school, there's still a lot of challenges that you have to overcome, but it was a great feeling. And afterwards, my defense committee, who were the faculty at the university, asked what was next for me. And I let them know, oh, I'm going to Vista Winery afterwards to celebrate. They were like, no, like, what job are you going to? It's like, don't ask me questions like that. That's way too serious. And ended up going out with some friends from my cohort, as well as the program who were younger than me. And it was a fantastic day, and I'll always remember it.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that's such a great feeling to reach a milestone like that and have it behind you and then celebrate. I remember the day that I found out I passed the bar. Oh my gosh, it was like just a relief. And then 40 years later, as an attorney, I didn't realize it was going to be so hard. The hard part was just starting. That's it for table topics. Thanks for sharing. Let's vote for who we thought, who was our favorite, who shared the favorite performance tonight. We started off with, first up was BJ, then Shirag, then Matthew, and then last but not least was Amber. So type it in on the Google form, but make sure you hit submit at the bottom so we can log the vote, and we'll announce the winner towards the end of the meeting. Thank you. And without any further ado, I'll turn it back over to our Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Tom. That was great. I forgot my sheet. Or it went missing. Does anybody have my sheet? Is that this one? No, this is not mine. Thank you. So next up, we have speech evaluators. And we have Matthew evaluating Chris tonight.
Okay. Chris, so yeah, great presentation. I feel like you're probably one of the hardest presenters to evaluate just because it's so concise and clear. I did take some notes, so I'll just go through those notes and save some items for improvement at the end. So first, starting with body control and stature. I think your hand gestures throughout the speech are fantastic. I think you have great control of the stage, and it's really interesting to see you perform in that way. Also, eye contact is fantastic. I think you did a great job with also getting the audience involved in your speeches. I see you consistently do that throughout the weeks, but I think being able to improv and ask the audience a question and kind of get them to pay more attention to you is very, very good. One thing I also liked is your pace. So I think your pace is very consistent. Like you never break pace. It's always the same way throughout the speech. It's a great way to give a presentation, and it's very clear and concise. I think your storytelling abilities are very concrete, and it's very easy to listen to your story and visualize it. You know, actually put in an image in my head of what was going on when you were telling that specific story. An example there was when you were having the conversation with your client and you had the two backgrounds with the LinkedIn page and then their financial information. I think that was super interesting. That's wow, I sped through the positive things. I would say very small like critiques here. I think overall it was great. The only things that I could see improvements in are two things. So I do think you have a big personality and you are a persuasive speaker. So if you're able to, bring more of that personality out to grab the attention of your audience and really sell the message or presentation that you're trying to give. For example, when I first watched you give a speech, this was a speech you gave about your daughters a few weeks back. And when you were giving that speech, you can tell how animated you were. And it was very easy to, fall in love with your storytelling abilities. Now, obviously, you're talking about your family, and now you're talking about work. So, and again, I don't know, what your targeted delivery was for this particular speech, but I think, just in general, you can, bring that out even for, I don't know if this topic was less interesting or not versus the other one, but continue doing that. And then another very picky one. So your confidence on stage is like 10 out of 10. It's perfect. I think if you, and again, I don't know what our ability here is to move around the podium, but I saw you started further back here at first, and then you came closer to the podium and moved a little bit towards the right. I don't know how much you can move around behind the podium when you're giving your presentation as if you were like on the stage or something, but you basically own the podium well enough to me where you can move around more and completely own not just the podium, but the stage. So yeah, that's everything.
Thank you.
Do we have time for other evaluators? Anybody, if somebody else's feedback?
Mike, get out of it.
Sorry, I would just echo that you can really, like he said, you're a big personality. I think you should really show that because you can be more confident and not be hard on yourself because you do that, you do have that presence. So I would agree with that.
Anything else? Any other feedback? Okay.
So cannot be as professional as Matthew because it sounded really great, but I really dislike it because sounded to me like it was a professional speech, but I felt like personally involved, like you were talking to me directly. And this, I believe, your strengths. So ability to kind of communicate these professional words while appearing personally. So that's a good job. And of course, with all due respect of what Matthew said. But I think it's really kind of strengths of yours that you can reinforce in the professional area.
Thank you.
Our next evaluator is Dongwen.
Then when?
Dongwen.
Then
Dong-
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Sorry, I'm a little bit coughing. Yeah, today I listened the story, Alexey. I think a traveling story also, this is already in the level 4 pathway. Oh, that actually surprised me. You did a good job. Yeah. The first, I think when you when you are speaking, now totally have a good eye contact with people. Then I feel you just talk with me. It's a very improve a lot compared before. This first. The second, the story is very inspiring people. Like you said, you can in a trip have a free talk with people, then get help for another people, then learn a lot of a different experience. As you said, life is journey. Not only for experience, also have a more risk. Even though have a risk, you still enjoy that. I really like the story. The last thing I want to say, if you can speak a little bit slowly, I can more understand when you have a good post eye contact, but still feel a little bit can slowly. That's a great story. Thank you.
Any other feedback out there?
Yeah, I would second what she said about slowing down. Sometimes it seems like it's like just one long sentence. So the power of the pause. Take them. It's powerful. Stop and pause when you have the right situation to use it. But yeah, focus on slowing down a little bit. You're just going boom, 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 because you're telling the story in your head. Having said that, though, your speech giving has improved tremendously since your first speech. You're much more confident up there and better eye contact and looking around, and it seems like you're enjoying yourself. So you've come a long way. So yeah, if you can improve the pacing, I think you're going to be even better. Yeah, I mean, there's no pause for the sake of pausing. Find the right place to pause. Maybe you're making a point and you want to let it sink in with the audience. But by focusing on adding some pauses, that will force you to slow down a little bit and at least to stop and give us time to digest maybe what you just said, right? Because we're trying to follow along. So yeah, just slow down a little bit. Yeah. But otherwise, you've come a long way with your delivery and all that. So now I didn't hear any big filler words and things like that. So we'll see what our counter says. but and grammarian. But also you made the point that, you know, you really didn't have much time to prepare. And that looked like a very polished speech you gave tonight. So well done.
Any other feedback, Maria?
I just tried to decode what happened because Downwind said it's about speed, and I'm like, no, it's not about speed. It's something else. And so the pace is, yes, like one long sentence. And if you create the pauses artificial and train them, then like separate paragraphs, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs of the speech. And when you separate them by pauses and like your voice may be going down, like completed. This part is complete. This box is completed. Next. It's easier to comprehend, to get into the whole story. That's my opinion. Thank you. But yeah, improvement. It's visible. It's obvious, and please continue. Thanks.
Alexey, I like your speeches. A real life experience, you travel a lot, looks like, and you have really something to share that even listening to your stories creates value, right? So I look forward to your speeches every time, but I agree that once in a while I get lost a little bit because I'm slow, right? It's my fourth language, English. So I think pauses, I'll not repeat on that, but I'll tell you what I did. When I came to this country, I learned English here after coming here. So I used to be like continuous. I didn't know where to pause because I didn't understand the meaning of comma and full stop and paragraphs. So nobody told me, but it's my observation that when there is comma, very small pause, full stop, longer pause, and paragraph, maybe a little longer. I don't know if it works for everyone, but I kind of try to do that. I don't know if I'm doing a good job on that or not, but I keep working on it. So,
Great. Next, we have our functionary reports. Maria with our timer. Can you come up, please?
Today it was my first time to be a timer. For some reason, I was afraid to do this, but with the app, it's easy peasy. So, for speech number 1, Chris, you were on the red spot, 742. Alexey was on 6, the yellow, just the border. Table topics, VJ 157, Chirac 130, Matthew 1 minute, and Amber 2 minutes. And then evaluators, Matthew 309. And Downwind 145. Concise and fast. So that was my role for tonight. Thank you.
Next, we have the odd counter, VJ.
thank you, Julie. For speeches, Chris, I didn't catch anything. Same for Alexey. I think no filler words today, nothing. Table topics, since I was the first one and I don't know what I did, so I'll give myself benefit of doubt. Chirag, 5+, and mostly it was like, I don't know what is the deal, but my kids do that a lot. So I understand. It doesn't distract me because I'm used to, but something I noticed. Thomas, 5+, mostly I think that comes out a lot. Amber. Sorry, didn't notice anything. So good job there. Evaluators, Matthew, 5+, mostly A, couple of hums. Denwen, 5+, and I think there was sound you made, something. I don't know. And that's it.
Next, we have Amber as a grammarian.
Thank you. Well, as the grammarian, I was keeping count of how many times we use the word of the day. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I only identified one person who said the word of the day, and that was BJ. So great use of the word.
I can go home.
Yeah. And the other purpose of my role is to let people know about grammar or language that could be improved upon. And one of them was Maria. One that I think that will just be one that you have to keep continually working on is what I noticed at the beginning, the president's opening remarks was saying a life coach, since that's one that you'll be saying a lot in your everyday language as well as networking. That's one that I think would just like make a mental note, a life coach, always a life coach coming before that. That might be helpful. Yeah. And then another one, let me just pull up my notes, was BJ, great speech, always very inspiring every time you give a table topic speech or a formal speech as well. And one that I noticed, actually the only one, was the US. So before coming to US versus coming to the US, and they wanted me in US versus they wanted me in the US. It's one of those small words, but and this again is being very nitpicky because there wasn't much to report on today. So those are two. And then the last one was Matthew. I know a lot of us struggle with this. It might have just been a quick mispronunciation as you were getting started with your speech, but was specifically versus specifically, that little distinction there. But that was actually all that I noticed. So great job everyone today.
Thank you, Amber. Lastly, we have Shara as a general evaluator.
Thank you, Julie. Great job on being a Toastmaster. We started 5 minutes late, but we are ending 5 minutes early, so that's a great job. You have great, Julie, you have great presence at the podium, and you look comfortable even when other people are speaking. So that's something that I've been working on. So I noticed that you have a good body language and posture. As far as the meeting overall, good filling of roles. Thanks to Danvin and Matthew for stepping up for the as evaluators. Good participation overall, engagement in the meeting with table topics. Everyone, I think there were 4 participants, so that was great. As far as speeches go, Alexey, I really liked your speech. You used a topic that's not very common here by, for example, the train, talking about the train travel. I've done that in India, so I was exactly familiar as to what you were talking about, and it brought back memories. And I think it's great to bring up such, or be brave about such topics, because we might not think about it, but it's a very unique story for some of us. So great job on that. Chris, I already said, you great speech. You can push yourself, become more of a professional speaker. So good job on that. Tom, good table topics as always, entertaining questions and thought-provoking topic. I think let's think of evaluations. Matthew, thanks for being giving a constructive feedback to Chris. Chris is again one of the most experienced speakers in the club, and you were still able to give him constructive feedback, which is quite difficult. So really good job on that. And then Danvin, good job on your evaluation as well. I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Before I end the meeting today, I'm going to hand it off to our president, Maria, for her final words.
Thank you, Julie. I noticed that all the roles, Chirac said something good about other roles, but not my role. But that's okay. Something for the next term, guys. How well I did. But one interesting thing I noticed today, since I'm getting deeper in my projects, and Toastmaster meetings is a great example or metaphor how to deal with difficult kids, high energy kids who are independent, rebellious. In Toastmasters, we see the strengths first. And on the strength of the speaker, we build the evaluation, right? And even in the most challenging cases like races, because it's hard to find anything in your perfect speech, right? But you have your goals. And maybe for future, maybe you can share what are you looking to improve, or what are you looking to what would you like to for your evaluator to focus on, right? Because it's really your quality of the speech above many of people here, right? And then it's hard for us to see how we can help you. And so it would be very helpful, because this is my last meeting in the role of president, and I will be a regular member soon. So I want to help you. I want to help everybody to meet your goals, guys. And we are on the different levels, but thank you for your supportive, intentional support of each other. It's really important here. Thank you.
Oh, that's okay. I need to announce the table topics winner tonight. So it was a tie between Matthew and Amber. So to break the tie, we talked about what was our the one day that we would want to relive. What would be the second day we would want to relive? I'm only kidding. We'll leave it at a tie. Thank you. And thank you, Maria, for your effort as president for the last 6 months. You did a fabulous job. You brought a lot of energy and ideas, and we're very, very appreciative of you taking that role. And I would encourage everybody here, if you don't want to be an officer for the next 6 months, give it some thought at some future time. I've been an officer in various roles for the last 3 years in one way or another, 3.5 years, and I've really enjoyed it. It's not a lot of work, and it allows you to see how we do things behind the scenes a bit. So give it some thought. It's not a big deal. And if you find out that you're 2 months into being an officer and something comes up in your life where you can't finish it out, it's no big deal. Someone fills in for you, and so it's not shouldn't be viewed as something as scary to take on. I would encourage everybody to do it. Chris.
The new president, can you do an intro of them?
Yes, so I want to announce starting on July 1st, Maria will be our president through July 30th, 11:59 p.m. Huh? Oh, what did I say? Oh, sorry. June 30th, 11:59 p.m. Okay, please, you need to be up by the phone in case something happens, right? And then at 12 a.m. on July 1st, we will have a peaceful transfer of power. Peaceful, I promise. No, this will be a peaceful transfer of power. And the new president, I'm happy to announce, will be Alexey. Alexey, come up here and say a few words. You need to get used to starting and closing the meeting. So now you get to close this meeting.
Thank you, guys. So my reason for me stepping in, the position was vacant, been vacant for long. So I have a couple of guys came to me, pushed me forward. But seriously speaking, I believe the kind of balance of power in the nature. So if you get something, give something. So I was feeling that I'm more on the receive side in this club. These guys have been doing all these roles all the time, contributing a lot. So I decided probably it's time for me to try to contribute whatever I can on top of whatever has been done. So this pretty much for me a really helpful experience, I believe, for many of us. Came here for a reason, and it really helps to overcome certain obstacles in our lives. Whatever gains certain skills that we're missing, one reason for another. Yeah, actually, I speak 3 languages too. So each language, different challenges, and yeah, each time we'll start new, like newborn start from the beginning, right? So I'll try to do whatever I can, my best to contribute to this club and keep these meetings rolling. Of course, helping for assistance from all others and these guys with lots of experience. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. All right, thank you.